Welcome to the Business Analyst Breakout Session by Isaac Nwakocha. Isaac is the Program Manager at Microsoft USA.
At least in the context of this conversation. My name is Isaac Nwakocha. I like to describe myself as, venture builder, product guy, advisor. I'm also a program or product manager at Microsoft here in the US. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a bit. And also, if you want to connect with me, feel free to connect on Twitter. I have my Twitter handle up there. I feel like that's the easiest way to get hold of me. Let's connect and, happy to help whatever way possible. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next slide. Did that work? Yes, it did. Okay, so a little bit about me. I went to University of Nigeria. I know a lot of people like to say University of Nigeria and Nsukka, but it's actually University of Nigeria. Nsukka is just a campus. I did mechanical engineering there. I started in 2004, finished 2010. After my, education in mechanical engineering, I went to, of course, after NYC, I went to work at KPMG. I was a management consultant associate at KPMG. I was at KPMG for 3 years. And in that time, I also did sort of work on a few startups on the side. I did Traffic Day in Nigeria. Essentially, the Traffic Day was supposed to be a crowdsourced platform to enable you know the traffic. So let's say you're trying to go from Amole to VI, and you want to know, what's the traffic on Third Mainland? You could sort of see what other people have said about the traffic situation, and then know, should I leave my house now? Should I not? Whatever. Of course, that didn't work out. I also did something around housing. We call it Villa Medulla, sort of a platform to enable you easily find houses to rent. Worked on that for quite a bit as well. Eventually all of these startups we had to close down because weren't getting the right traction. But I had a ton of learnings from those. And in 2014, I started a graduate program at Stanford. I did management science and engineering, which I like to call an engineer's MBA. And essentially, it sort of straddles between management and technology, which is sort of a sweet spot for what I was interested in learning. After Stanford, I also started working at Facebook. I worked as a product data operations person at Facebook for a bit, for about a little bit less than 3 years. And currently, since last year, actually, I started working at Microsoft as a program manager. Well, at Microsoft, we call it program manager. A lot of the rest of the industry calls it product manager. Okay, so let's jump right in. I'm sure you might be wondering, what do product managers do? Interestingly, at the time I was in Nigeria, I didn't really know what product managers were. Of course, people call it business analysts, and even that, I didn't quite know what it was. And it wasn't sort of an area of interest for me in a big way. But when I got here to the US, I started to realize how important the role really is, and sort of how much of at the center of technology it is, especially at a lot of big tech companies like Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Apple, all of those companies. You will see that they have lots of product manager roles, and those roles are sort of very center at the heart of the products people build. And before I jump into what product managers do, I am currently the product manager for Cortana. If you're using a Microsoft Windows operating system and you have the Cortana app on your desktop, I manage Cortana. So all the experiences around when you say, "Hey Cortana, what's the weather?" Or "Hey Cortana, when is Chelsea playing with Man U?" And we give you some sort of answers. I sort of manage it. And when I say I manage it, I mean I manage it end to end. I'm like the CEO for that aspect, for that product, and sort of oversee both the engineers working on it, the lawyers, the marketing folks, pretty much everything that makes that product be successful. I am responsible for it. I also am the product manager for voice search experience on Outlook. So if you go on Outlook and there's a microphone button and you tap and you say, find me emails from, Tolu, and we're able to give you those. I am responsible for that. So what do we do? I mean, I like to describe product management as sort of at the intersection of consumer or customer, technology and business. So the way I like think about it is if you're someone who likes to work at this sweet spot, at this intersection, right? Where you sort of you spend a lot of time thinking about the customer, you spend a lot of time working with technology people, engineers, and you sort of also have that business acumen. You can think about, profit and loss. How do we make this this product successful from the business point of view, pricing, sales strategy, all of that. Probably product management is for you because you're going to be using all of these skills one way or another in your product manager experience. And for me, that has also been what has attracted me to product management because I started my career in engineering, right? I was an engineer, mechanical engineer. I did NYSC mechanical engineering at Guinness. So I was an engineer at heart, right? But I also, when I started working as well, I did management consulting, which taught me how to learn about business, understand business strategy, understand how to design businesses. And then, of course, eventually, like as part of my startup, I learned how to relate to customers, talk to customers. So I felt like for me, product management is like the absolute, convergence of all of these areas that I was super interested in. And it was a perfect fit for what I want to do with my career. So in a nutshell, product managers, they drive the vision, the strategy, the design, and the execution of a product. Like this is what it is. Product managers drive the vision, the strategy, the design, and the execution of their product. And a lot of people like to say a product manager is the mini CEO of a product. I think that definition, in a lot of sense, it's sort of a very, very simple definition of what it is. But a more correct definition would have been more complex, right? So think about your role as a product manager as sort of like the CEO of a product. And I'll touch on each of these aspects. What is the vision? How do you think about strategy of a product? How do you think about the design of a product? And how do you think about the execution? And I'll use a few examples of probably products you're familiar with to sort of help you understand what this is. And then at the end of it, I would also talk to you about how to be a product manager, because I would assume that a lot of you are probably interested in how to be a product manager, and maybe I can take questions also at the end as well. So vision, strategy, design, execution. When we say vision, what is vision? Vision essentially articulates how the world would be a better place if you succeed. For those who are sort of religious or have heard this word used a couple of times, here vision is essentially trying to articulate, you're sort of projecting. If I'm successful in leading this product, and the product can be anything, right? Let's say it's a calculator for the blind. If I'm successful in building a good calculator for the blind, how will I change the life of someone who is blind, right? So and this is how, Steve Jobs in 2007, when he first launched the iPhone, this is how he articulated the vision for Apple. He was like, or the vision for the iPhone. He was like, most advanced phones are called smartphones. They combine a phone plus email plus baby internet in one device with a plastic little keyboard on them. The problem is that they are not so smart and not so easy to use. What we want to do is make a leapfrog product that is way better than any mobile device that has ever been and super easy to use. So we are going to reinvent the phone, starting first with a revolutionary user interface. So Steve Jobs' vision here was really bold. And if you see what he said we're going to reinvent the phone. And truly, I think we can all attest to the fact that Apple reinvented the phone. Up until the iPhone, people phones always have keyboards, a physical keyboard. In fact, I remember then I had a BlackBerry phone and I had a keyboard. BlackBerry was top of was a winner in the market. And I just love the BlackBerry keyboard. And I would always make just that, who's going to use this new iPhone thing that doesn't have a keyboard that you're just tapping on a screen? That looks so weird. But I think we can all agree that in fact today you probably won't find any phone that has a physical keyboard, because Steve Jobs' vision for Apple has come to reality, essentially revolutionize and what he called reinvent the phone. That is what a vision is. It is very compelling, and it sort of captures, articulates how the world will be a better place if you succeed. I'll spend a little bit of time on strategy as well. What is strategy? Strategy essentially details exactly how you dominate your market. So, you say, I want to build the best calculator for the blind. The question is, how are you going to do that? Strategy helps you articulate that process on how you dominate the market. An example is, Google Maps. Before Google Maps became popular, there were other very big and successful map solutions. One of them was MapQuest. Probably a lot of you may not remember, but once upon a time, Google Maps was not a thing. But Google Maps, they were successfully able to, sort of take over the market from MapQuest because they built a superior product, and not just a superior product that used the latest technology to make smart scrolling and zooming into maps very, very smooth. So for Google Maps, the strategy for success was essentially around like product innovation. How do we build the best product that people would like? And of course, there are different ways to differentiate yourself as well. For some people, it may not be product, it may just be the market like the business model. Right? Google was one of the first businesses that say, hey, we won't charge you to use our product. Like, you can actually use it for free. We'll make money through advertising, right? That is a business model. And Google has been successful in leveraging that business model as well to dominate the market because it's been a successful strategy for them. And I'll talk about design as well. As a product manager, I spend a ton of time on design. Think about it. If you're building the calculator for the blind, how you design it is super important. Like, not every design would work, right? And if we define a blind person as someone that cannot see, because of course there are different types of blindness. Some people might just be clinically blind. Some people can be just color blind. So if we define blindness as just ability to not like clinically blind, not being able to see, then how you design the calculator will be very, very important in helping your users be successful or not. In my view, I would say design delivers a useful, usable, and delightful experience to users. That is what it is. If your product is not able to deliver useful, usable, and delightful experience, then you don't have a good design. Some of the keywords here are important. I mean, delightful experience. And I'll give you an example of what a delightful experience is. Instagram sort of revolutionized, and probably most of you on Instagram today, because when Instagram started, it made it very easy for you to turn an ordinary picture, like literally a picture of your eba and soup. Like, you literally just take a picture, you can add those filters on it, and it will change it in such an interesting form, maybe turn it to black and white, and you can easily share. So that design to make you delighted using the product was one of the things that made Instagram super successful. And Facebook bought Instagram for over $1 billion. And trust me, $1 billion is a lot of money, right? And this is what a good design product can help you achieve. Again, as a product manager, you will spend a lot of time with designers. You'll be thinking through, how do we make this product better? Is this the right design for our users? And is this design going to delight our users? And the last part about product management I would like to talk about is execution. So what is execution here? I mean, again, if you have all the great vision and all the great strategy and all the great design, and you're not able to execute, you're probably going to fail. Execution in a nutshell just means, hey, how can I make sure that I marshal all the resources, all the people on the team to build this product? And how do I make sure that, people remain focused on the most important things, the high priority areas for the team, and can also deliver the product on time, on spec, and when I say spec, on specification, and the users love it, right? So, as again, I said earlier, relentless execution determines whether you make your vision a reality or not. That is just what it is, like relentless execution. And of course, execution is hard. They're all hard in one form or the other, but execution sort of brings it all together. And this is where your leadership skill as a product manager comes actually to shine or gets tested, because you sort of have to convince people to do something. So even though a lot of people say, oh, a product manager is a mini CEO, in some sense, you're the CEO in the sense that you're responsible for everything. But in a lot of technology companies, all those things you're responsible for, they don't directly report to you. Like the engineers who build the product, they don't report to you. Like you're not their boss, right? They report to an engineering director or an engineering manager. The designers who are going to design the product, they don't report to you. They report to a design, manager or a head of design, right? So where you shine as a product manager is being able to influence all these people. We call it influencing without authority. You don't really have authority over them, but you have to influence them to go in a specific direction. And the way to influence them to go in a specific direction is to make sure you properly articulate the vision of what the product should be. Hey, this calculator for the blind, it needs to be the best thing since sliced bread. Like you have to make that vision clear. You need to make that vision amazing, and you need to make that vision very compelling to the team. And what I try to do usually is I make sure I also repeat that vision all the time. Literally every time I meet with the team, I have a slide that articulates our vision. That way everyone is clear what we're trying to do. We're not trying to build a calculator for people who can see, right? It's clear it is for the blind. And sometimes we even be more clear on the type of blindness we are referring to, the clinically blind, not those who are colorblind. And that reminder every day forces the team to keep at the top of their mind what is most important and what we would consider value for the team, right? And so, execution here just means making sure you do everything that's needed to enable your product be successful. So, of course, a couple of people are wondering, how do I become a product manager? And I'll probably start with my own journey to product management. Remember, I mentioned that I studied mechanical engineering at UNN. I did management science and engineering at Stanford. I worked in consulting. I did my own startup on the side. The interesting thing is all of these paths leads to product management. All of these helps you become a product manager or business analyst. I'm going to stop using the word business analyst just so that you sort of get the gist of the more modern term for that role. And also I think thinking about it, and also just from my experience looking around, I've seen that different people come to different product management through different paths. Usually you don't study product management in school. Like you're not going to register at UNN or Unilag and say, oh, product management. It's not yet a field that you can sort of enroll in a university and study for 4 years, right? It doesn't mean that, you can't get there or there are no special trainings people do, but there's no university course similar to mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science. There's no university, sort of program, 4-year program called product management that you go and study and then you become a product manager. No. So in my experience, I've seen a lot of people, they've gone from becoming a developer to become a product manager. Some have gone from support, customer support to become product managers. Some have gone from marketing to become product managers. Some have gone from sales to become product managers. Some have gone from business development to become product managers. Some have gone from design to become product managers. Some have gone from project managers. And sometimes those words also get super confused. There's a little bit of nuance between them. usually a project manager. A project manager is mostly responsible for, let's make sure that I can deliver this project on time within budget, right? So it's mostly tracking, oh, are we on time? All the things we said we'll do, are we doing them? Are we doing them within the budget we said we'll do, and all of that. A product manager actually does some of that, if not all, and also more. And when I say more here, I mean, essentially, you're not just thinking about time and are we on track, but you're also thinking about, are we building the right product? Is this what the user wants? Is this what our customers want? You're also thinking about, can we be successful at making money? Can we build a business out of this, right? And that's why, the last point I have here is even, people who have started companies, founders and CEOs, in some ways, sometimes, they might leave their job as a CEO and go to become product managers. So usually I say, people who have some knowledge of customers or some knowledge of technology or some knowledge of business, have typically sort of found the product manager role to be very exciting and have ended up being at that role. And I like to also say that, hey, essentially what you need to be a product manager, at a very high level is, breadth of knowledge and depth of expertise. Your expertise may be in one area, let's say in a customer or in business or in technology, but being able to merge this with a breadth of knowledge in a lot more other things are what, arm you with the right skill set to become a product manager. What it takes is being ready to wear multiple hats, right? As a product manager, I can, just walk you through my typical day is. I probably start my day with some meeting with my team. And when I say my team, I mean it's a team of engineers and designers, right? Talking through, what we're working on, where are we on the product, what are some challenges, the team is facing, all of that. So at some point, I have to switch my hat and talk about technical things, what the technology is, what kind of problems you're dealing with. Maybe sometime in the afternoon, I have to go have some conversations with lawyers because, some of the things we're working on requires some legal aspect to it. Maybe have some conversation with the lawyers. Sometime during the day, again, probably go have some conversations with the marketing team and say, hey, we're about to launch this product. How are we communicating this product to the market? What are some things we need to document? What are some, collateral some marketing collateral I need to put together? So wearing all of those multiple hats, sort of juggling around them is what it takes. Like being comfortable, being able to juggle multiple hats. And when I say wear multiple hats, like assume multiple roles in the course of a day and being very comfortable and actually enjoying it, that's what it takes. And then the other thing is always be communicating because you're sort of like the mini CEO, you're at the center of all the action for that product. A lot of information is going to flow through you, right? For example, if another team needs something from your team, they're going to ask you. You're the one they're going to ask. They're not going to go ask your engineers directly. And sometimes even if they ask your engineers directly, your engineers are going to come back and say, oh, please talk to my product manager. And you are the one that, that information is going to flow through. And if your team needs something from other teams as well, they're relying on you as a product manager to handle that communication and make sure that, all the dependencies, all the other, teams you depend on to be successful are also sort of aligned. They're doing the things that they need to do to help you be successful. And the last part is what I call mini CEO. I've used that word a million times already. But essentially what it's articulating here is, can I be comfortable taking full ownership and full responsibility for this product? Can I be the guy who can make the calls? Can I be comfortable, sort of managing teams, encouraging people to help us achieve our goals for this product? And, more concrete terms, because I know for a lot of you are probably students, you're thinking, I'm studying whatever right now. I think this product management or this business analysis, it seems interesting to me. I want to explore it. In concrete terms, how do I get started? Usually I like to advise people that, there are different ways, but these are probably some of the top ones I've seen that have a structured way to help people learn. You can take specialized training. These days, there are what they call product management boot camps, PM boot camps, that you can register for. Some of them will probably last 8 weeks, others last longer. You can take them in person at different places, even in Nigeria. And you can also take them online as well. You can, go to any of the online platforms, Coursera, General Assembly, Udemy, Khan Academy, all of those places, and take some of those online classes on, product management. And a lot of them do a great job of giving you like the ins and outs, the knowledge that's been gathered so far on how to think about markets, how to segment your customers, how to lead engineers. Some of them even teach you a little bit about programming, just so you're comfortable with programming and can have those conversations with with the engineers on your team or the technical people on your team. Also, I've seen people go and do an MBA program, mostly because an MBA program is sort of helps you learn vision and strategy. Those are, in my view, some of the key things, the business school is going to teach you. And these are very valuable skills for product managers. Of course, not all, MBAs, MBA graduates, would be great product managers. And also not all product managers need to have MBAs or have MBAs. I don't have MBA. So you can be successful without an MBA, but it's also a viable route if you're thinking about, product management. And the last, but not the least, of course, is learning on the job. This is actually how I started in product management, right? In my role at Facebook, I sort of volunteered to be the product manager for a very important product area. It was an internal product area. And I started spending a ton of my time. In fact, I was doing 2 jobs in one. I had my regular job, but I also had this job of managing a team of about 8 engineers, right, to build this platform internally for Facebook. Of course, being paid for one job and ending up doing 2 is super hard and stressful, but you get to learn a lot. I did learn a lot of things, and I sort of got the opportunity, or I would say I took the opportunity and the initiative, because it's not like someone said, oh, Isaac, okay, maybe you should come and volunteer to do this. No, I saw that, hey, this team needs a product manager. We're trying to build XYZ. This team probably needs someone to lead the development and build of that product. And I was like, hey, I raised my hand and I said, I would like to lead this. And they were like, okay, sure. And that's how I started leading that end to end, and I did that for probably a little more than a year. Leading the team, we're shipping great products. Everyone loved it, or at least most people who use that product loved it. And it was valuable hands-on experience. Valuable hands-on experience. And if you look at, a lot of people who have become product managers, a lot of people actually started this way. They just volunteer as part of their regular work, or as part of things they do, what you will call side projects. Even as a student, you can do that, because some of you might be thinking, oh, well, I'm not working right now, I cannot volunteer on the side. You can actually do something on the side. Maybe you have this idea, oh, I wish I could design an app that can enable me read while sleeping, or whatever, some app that's very useful to you, or people that there's a group of people you think it would be useful to. You can just go and do it on the side. Convince some of your friends who are engineers, or who can build an app, who are coders, or you can even just learn how to code. These days it's not super hard to get some of these things going on. You can do it on the side, right? While you're studying your books, you're spending your evenings building this thing. You're going to learn a ton about product management. You might not realize it, that you're learning product management, but it is. You're going to be maybe 2 or 3 of your friends. You're convincing them, hey, let's work on this together. The same way Jobberman started, right? Let's work on this together. Let's collaborate. Hey, let's build this. And then you set up the team. You set up, oh, we'll meet 5 p.m. every day. We'll work together from 5 to 8. And you say, you'll be responsible for helping us get customers. You'll be responsible for building the website. You'll be responsible for helping us, raise money or whatever those things are that you need. So that is huge practice in product management or business analysis. And, in reality, that's also how I started. Like when I did my startup back in Nigeria, it's me convincing my friends to, spend their time working on this area that I cared about. I thought traffic, I wish every day that I'm stuck on Third Mainland Bridge, I wish someone could have told me that, oh, there's traffic in Third Mainland. I would have just stayed where I was. Either I stay back in the office, in VI, or I stay back at home and wait until there's no traffic, right? So I thought that, hey, it would be valuable to create this kind of product that would enable people to share where there's traffic. And in fact, at that time, there was a solution. I don't know if it still exists right now, but there was Giddy Traffic. I think they call Giddy Traffic. People tweet to Giddy Traffic and say, oh, traffic is crazy on Obalende, Inward Yaba, or whatever that is. I don't remember anymore. And a lot of people use that Twitter handle to share about, traffic situation. While Twitter is good for these things, it also has its own problems. What that means is if somebody tweeted maybe 30 minutes ago and somehow Twitter is busy and you just came, it will be hard for you to see that tweet, right? You have to read all the tweets that people have tweeted in the last 30 minutes to find, that one that says, oh, there's traffic on a bad day. So I wanted to build something different, something that's more like an app where you can go and you can actually see on the map that, oh, there's traffic, similar to what Google Maps has today. So a lot of these things I was building was before Google Maps, right? So all of that experience, convincing my team, trying to understand the customer, building the product. We actually built it, we launched it. We got maybe hundreds of users to use it. And, at some point we started running into some issues. And then eventually, we said, okay, this is not working out, we got to shut it down. But that was incredible experience. I know we are running a little bit out of time, so I will try to summarize and make sure I give people opportunities to ask questions. And of course, if you want to connect with me, you can follow me on Twitter, message me on Twitter, all of that stuff. It's a lot easier for me to handle there, versus maybe LinkedIn or email. So connect. I'm happy to share more about my experience and also answer questions you may have as well. At this point, I will stop talking in case people have questions they want to ask, and I'll just move to the first slide so that you sort of see how it all ties together and why we're talking about product management. Thank you. Do we have questions?
Thank you so much, Isaac. Thank you for the presentation. We have a couple of questions, but we'll be taking a few.
Okay.
And I guess others can just send you a mail or send you a message on Twitter, like you said. And yeah. So
Twitter
now
is probably the best because
okay.
my mail is probably going to go into spam because I probably don't know most people, but on Twitter I probably get it on my phone, and that's easier to respond to. Okay,
so Twitter is fine then.
Yep.
And also, to answer your question, the Giddy Traffic still exists on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I wish someone can build something better though. Do people use it these days, or they just use Google Maps?
Yeah, people do on Twitter. And then sometimes the bot picks, like if I'm talking about Lagos traffic, I just get a response from Giddy Traffic. So it still works.
I see. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So now
if anyone is interested in making it better and maybe working on something related to making, giving us something better than giving traffic, I'm also happy to, to sort of advise. And I didn't mention this, but I also advise a couple of startups in Nigeria. I can't go into details on what they do, but it's something I'm super excited about. And if you're working on a startup on the side and you need, someone to give you feedback or sort of even if more formal advice or arrangement, I'm happy to talk as well. Just connect with me on Twitter.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Naomi has a question for you. She says, can you become a product manager in the agricultural sector, and how?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, a lot of times when people talk about product manager, they think it's just tech, but yes, you can become a product manager in pretty much any sector, right? And it's the same route. Again, as I said, you don't really go to university to go and study product manager. It's the same way you don't go to a university to study being a CEO, right?
Yeah.
You can be a CEO in agriculture, you can be a CEO in finance, you can be a CEO in technology, you can be a CEO anywhere. So you can be a product manager anywhere. And there's no fixed route, but I think the most important things are the skill set you need, right? The skill set, as I mentioned, is that visioning skill set, or that ability to sort of understand the customer, that ability to understand the technology of your product area, and also that business acumen. If you can combine these three, you will be successful as a product manager in any sector. And I have friends who used to be product, of course, one of my very good friends in Nigeria, he used to be a product manager for a company that is into agriculture, right? And helping them think through, how do we connect farmers who have XX products? How do we help them sell those products on the internet? All of that stuff. Those things require, sort of product management.
Okay. Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Naomi. Okwemi has a question for you. She says, does a product manager perform a different role from a project manager, or are they the same?
They're different, right? And the differences are sort of semantics. And when I say semantics, it's probably going to vary from company to company. And the way to think about it is the same way. What's a good example? Say I'm an engineer, right? I'm a mechanical engineer. The work I would do as a mechanical engineer in, say, Guinness, it may be different from the work I would do as a mechanical engineer in, say, if I were working in Innocent, right? In Innocent, I'm working on cars, right? I'm working on different parts of a car. But in Guinness, I'm working on, plants, machines that enables us, make, beer or malt or whatever. Even though the inherent skill set is the same, it's just that the domains, the specific machines and stuff like that are different. In some form, project managers, they focus mostly on, as I said earlier, timelines. How is this project going? Are we on time? Are we within budget? Are we, delivering what we said we'll deliver to the customer, right? And a lot of that is sort of inward facing, where you're just looking at what is the team doing. You're not doing a lot of outward facing stuff. But as a product manager, you're going to be doing a lot of outward facing stuff too. Like when you will be talking to customers, people outside of your company. When I say you'll be talking to, I don't mean you'll be spending all your time talking, but you would spend a significant amount of time sort of trying to understand what are the customers' pain points, right? People who use my product, what do they really care about? Those are things that a product manager would do. A project manager may not necessarily do that, depending on the company, of course, right? So in a sense, they're sort of different, but they overlap as well. So, and also, sometimes different companies call the same role different names. So I think the main thing is to understand, what am I going to be doing in this role? And especially, in the US, I don't know how it is in Nigeria. In the US, the names of the roles are not necessarily that homogeneous and also that static, right? Like, for example, what other companies call product manager, at Microsoft, we call it program manager, right? Like, there's no such thing as product manager at Microsoft. We call it program manager. And in fact, the role is, like, Microsoft was one of the first companies that started that role that people call product manager today. But Microsoft has always called it program manager, and we haven't changed that. So if you see, my official title is probably program manager.
Yeah.
But say if I go from Microsoft and I go and say go work in Facebook or Google, my role, the name of my role will change to product manager, but in essence, they're pretty much the same. So it's just understanding like what is in the role. And in fact, as I said earlier when I started, some people are going to call the same role business analyst, or that's what they used to be called in the past. So sometimes, of course, these days, a lot of those business analysts, they're also changing their names. Sort of a lot of companies have changed the names from business analysts to just product managers so that there will be no confusion. Microsoft is still one of those companies that have not changed the name to product manager. So we still retain our name program manager. But in essence, they are all the same thing.
Okay. Okay, so one more question because of time. We've run out of time. Shegun Oguyemi is asking, as a student or young professional whose background is in pure sciences and is interested in business and entrepreneurship, do you advise such young professional to divert focus into business management or further in the line of his profession?
So if there's one thing I learned in my career, I always tell people, and I might spend a lot of time, trying to answer this part of the question because this is one area I'm super passionate about. In Nigeria, a lot of times, think about it. When did you decide you wanted to study engineering? Some of us decided, at least for me, I filled my JAM form when I was 15, right? And I chose mechanical engineering. Honestly, the question, what do I know at 15? Right? What do I really know? Do I really know what I want to do with my life at 15? Do most of us know what we want to do with our lives at 15? I believe the short answer is no. Most of us do not. But again, we're in Nigeria. You have to fill a course in your JAM form, so you choose whatever you feel you're interested in at that time. But what you're interested in also evolves. So over time, sometimes you might have felt, oh, mechanical engineering, but at some point you realize that, oh man, I'm actually interested in business. I should go, work in business. Maybe I should go do consulting or something like that. In the US, it's slightly different. A lot of schools in the US, they allow you to get into school without even choosing what you want to study. Of course, when you're applying, you might say, oh, I'm interested in this, but you don't have to, they're not gonna admit you into any specific program, like say, oh, we've admitted into engineering. No, they'll just say, oh, we've admitted into Stanford. When you come to Stanford, you have 2 years to figure out what you want to study. So in that 2 years, you can take courses from different departments, try things and see, oh, which one do I really like? And then you can now start, focusing on that one in particular. But that's the US system. It's slightly different from the system we have in Nigeria and in the UK, right? So we can't change the Nigerian system. That's what it is. But what I tell people is try to be flexible, right? If you're sort of already in the sciences or you're interested in business, take a course online on business, right? Start a side business, right? If you're try these things and see if you like them before you jump headlong, right? For me as well, when I was interested in product management, I volunteered and I tried it on the side. I know people who have done product management and they did not like it, right? Some people, they feel like, oh man, for whatever reason, I just don't like talking to people. I don't like telling people what to do. I don't like managing this team of people and then their problem become my problem. So they don't like product management, but you can try it on the side usually. And sometimes, you can use your internship or what we call IT, industrial attachment. Do an industrial attachment in business, see if you like it. Or spend the weekend, if you're interested in business, spend the weekend at one of the businesses close to you. Tell the person, hey, you know what? I'm going to come in and work here for you for free. I want to learn business. I want to see if it's something I'm interested in. If it's okay by you, let me come in every Saturday for 4 hours. I'll just sit with you, go wherever you're going. I'll try to learn from you. Don't worry, I'll pay for my own transport. Like, I encourage a lot of people to do this, right? Don't worry about the money. Will he pay me? If you're interested in learning, see it as I'm investing time in my own education. I want to get some experience here. I want to see if I like this thing. And then if it turns out that, man, I really love this thing, you can then make the decision by yourself and say, oh, wow, I tried this thing. I've fallen in love with this. I think this is what I want to do. Then you can now take more concrete steps to going to do those things in particular, right? But I would say don't limit yourself, and also don't think about it as it is an A or B thing. If I do A, I can't do B, or if I do B, I can't do A. I was actually building these startups, at least the ones I mentioned here, when I was still working at KPMG, right? In my spare time, on my weekends, at night. It's hard, but it's what you do to learn, and it's what you do to grow. So start it on the side, do it on the side, volunteer your time, see how you like it, learn on the side. If you need to take classes in business, take it on the side, see if you like it. And then once you like it and you have a strong, you see that, oh, this is really, you will start to get more ideas and more, of course, guidance of what you need to do to either continue in that line or to merge it with what you're currently doing.
Thank you so much, Isaac. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I believe Segun is satisfied with the answer. That would be all for now. We can't take all questions, but as Isaac said, please just message him on Twitter. He's going to respond. I'm also going to message you, Isaac, because I'm working on a project that has to do with, I'm trying to develop a product for an insurance company in Lagos. So I'll be messaging you with respect to that. So please expect my Twitter message.
Awesome. Yeah. And I imagine that I'm going to get a lot of messages. So if I'm slow in responding, just know that it's because there are a lot of them. But I promise I'm going to respond. Just be a little bit patient. It may take me a few weeks or whatever, but I promise to respond. Cool?
All right. Cool.
Awesome. And this is an amazing forum. I hope this has been useful for everyone in attendance. I wish I had this opportunity, when I was, at the same stage as you were in the career. Yeah. I'm happy to, answer any questions offline, connect with me, and enjoy the rest of your session.